All right, I got one for you. Over the weekend, the Pittsburgh Steelers added to their defensive line. Last night, actually, late night move. They brought in Daniel. Go ahead, you know it. Ekuale, whatever. I apologize, Daniel. From the New England Patriots, a defensive tackle who primarily plays the left defensive end side where Larry Ogunjobi played. Started 16 games for New England last season. I believe he's got 21 starts, maybe 27 starts throughout his NFL career. He's just about 31 years old, and he's been in the league 6-7 seasons at this point, or at least had 6-7 active seasons under his belt in the NFL. I look at him as a rotational piece and a good one, to be very honest. Like a guy who contributed last season. He's another Dean Lowry. I like Dean Lowry. I have no issues with Dean Lowry. My thing with Dean Lowry was, why was he not being utilized last season? Why was Isaiah Loudermilk getting the upper hand all the time? Why was he just not able to make it work in Pittsburgh in year one? I have high expectations for him in year two. And I think Ekuale comes in here and shares those same expectations. Like, he's a dude that you go out, you draft somebody, most likely round one, although we'll talk about that in a little bit. And he starts where Larry O was going to start, or at nose tackle, and Keanu Benton starts where Larry O was going to start, depending on who you draft. And then you have reserves of Ekuale, Montravius Adams, Dean Lowry, DeMarvin Leal, Logan Lee, if he makes the roster, and most likely a second draft pick somewhere in that mix. I think the defensive line immediately takes a step forward if that's the case. Like, if that's the group you're looking at, you are much better than Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, Larry O, Isaiah Loudermilk, Montravius Adams, and you could say Dean Lowry, but like, it wasn't Dean Lowry. It was just Isaiah Loudermilk across the board, pretty much anywhere that they needed him. I like Isaiah. I think if you brought Isaiah back, it'd be fine as like a really deep reserve piece. But I do think this is the veteran depth that they need. This is a name, like, that's who you're looking for your depth pieces. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, are these older veterans who still make impacts and can come off the bench and be reliable. That's who they have now, instead of trying to develop these mid-round rookies and second-year guys that aren't working out, and then they're stuck with them for 5 years because they have to see what they're getting out of them. I think this is a much better move. I think Ekuale is a good signing for a one-year deal. Got no issues with it. I think it's a good beginning to the second wave for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and adds a depth piece that they needed. At the same time, the next piece they need to add is the same position on the offensive side of the ball, because they have no swing tackle. And if you could clear that up, I honestly think that their reserves outside of safety, but I also want to address that, are pretty filled at this point. They're looking pretty good.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was the Steelers needed to get somebody, right? Yeah. And at the end of the day, Ekuale is somebody who, as you mentioned, he started 16 games for the New England Patriots. And I understand last year the Patriots weren't a good football team, but their defense was one of their better parts of that team. So you get a guy that started 16 games for a half-decent defense. If it bumps Keanu Benton into a different role, and into the role that we all want him to be in, then that's perfect. Now, I expect there to be another move to come on the defensive line. But if at the end of the day, all this is, hey, we get to put Keanu Benton back outside and put him in a better position where we think that he's going to succeed more, then it's a net positive. And then anything else you get out of Ekuale is just icing on the cake. So again, absolutely nothing wrong with this move whatsoever. And at minimum, it's helping your defense be shifted into the right positions. At maximum, it's a setup piece for something that's really going to take your defensive line to the next level.
Exactly. Like, that's all you needed. Bridge guys, and that bridge guys that are capable of playing back or front. You know, you need them to be a starter for a little while. Good starter. There you go. You need them to be a depth piece for a little while. Great. There you go. But they needed bridge guys. They haven't had bridge guys. This is a bridge guy, which is, again, like, sets you up in position. Larry O was not a bridge guy. He was a $10 million a year, $13 million a year starter, no matter how you looked at it. Excuse me. This is a bridge option that gives you the ability to really do anything with it. And again, that's what the Steelers needed. Their defense is now pretty complete. in my eyes outside of drafting guys. And again, I still expect that to be in the first round, although we'll dive into Jackson Dart here in just a minute. I think it's a good move. The last piece that they need on that defense is a safety. And tomorrow I have some names for everybody. Obviously got to talk Aaron Rodgers and Jackson Dart and everything that developed over the weekend there. But tomorrow, depending on how today goes, I'm trying to find some confirmation on if these guys are still going to be on the market. If they are, then I got some names for everybody to pay attention to.